Today's shir is Le'ela Nishmas Osher Shmuel Chaim ben Shiono Yefraim, Le'ela Nishmas Tzvi Dov ben Chaim Pesach, Le'ela Nishmas Avraham and Mordechai David, Le'ela Nishmas Ruvain ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Le'ela Nishmas Chaim ben Fege, Le'ela Nishmas Yeshua ben Shmuel, Le'ela Nishmas Osher ben Bracha, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka. Shmuel should have an aliyah. Nishmat Elimelech ben Levi Yitzchak. Nishmatam. Today's topic will be dealing with the great cover-up of a miracle in Parshas Chukat. The Torah is involved in a Watergate here. A cover-up of Parshas Chukat, a great miracle. Many people are not aware that a great miracle took place in Parshas Chukat. If you take a look at the sheets in front of you, why the cover-up of the great miracle in this week's Parshas Chukat that we read yesterday? If you look at the sheets in front of you, it says, Besufa Nacholim Arnon. Sufa Nacholim Arnon. What is Rashi? So if you take a look at Rashi, on the right side, Esha Nacholim Arnon. You see the Rashi there on the right side? Rashi. No, Rashi, the right side, Rashi, yeah. Underneath. It says Rashi, right? Underneath, that's where Rashi is located, right? So Rashi says a great miracle took place over here. Esanacholim Arnon, the third Rashi on the right side. Kishem Shemisaprim Benise Yamsuf, just like we speak over on Pesach, the Nisim that took place at the splitting of the Red Sea. Yesh Lesape Benise Nachle Arnon. You should talk about the nisim that took place here in the valley of Arnon. Sha'af kan nasu nisim gedolim. Here too great miracles take place. What great miracle took place? That's on the miracle on the same level of Kriyas Yamsuf. So if you go to the text, Pasuk Tezvav. You see the text, Chavan? The Eshet HaNacholim, the text says, Asher Nota Lo Shevet or V'nishan Legvul Moav. What does that mean? Says Rashi. Rashi in the right column, Tezva, ve'eshet hanacholim. Targum shel shefech eshet. Shefech hanacholim. Eshet hanacholim means shenishbach sham dam shel amorim. There was spilled the blood of the terrorists. Shoynech boim sham. Terrorists were hiding in the caves. You hear what Rashi's talking about here? I'm reading Rashi. The Jews were passing in a valley, and up above, hiding in the caves, Mekimir, were the terrorists waiting to attack us. A person could stand on one side of the mountain, and he would speak to his friend on the other side. And the road passed through the valley. Amru Amorim, the terrorists hiding in the cave, said, Keshekansa Yisrael Aretz, as the Jews are marching towards Eretz Yisrael, they're about to pass through this narrow gorge. Is that the right word? Yeah. Right? Say min amarot, we're going to come out of the caves. Shebaharim shemalmala, v'nahargeim bechitzim va'avne bilastoriot. See, underline the word bilastoriot. What's bilastoriot mean? Ballistic missiles. We're going to attack them with rockets as the Jews are passing through this valley. Avde bilastoriot, stones of ballistic missiles. For Yosan and Akoyim Bahar shall tzad Moav, Bahar shall tzad Amorim Hoyu Keneget, Osim Nikoyim Kimin Koronot, Shadayim Bolton Lachutz. So the Jews were passing below. The mountains up there were jagged, like daggers, rocky mountains. Kishoya Boy Yisrael Avor, but when the Jews were passing in the valley below, Nizdaza Har Shel Eretz Yisrael, the mountain at the side of Israel began to what? Shake, rattle, and roll. Like a shifcha to greet, like a slave woman about to greet the face of her mistress. Who's the mistress here? The Jewish people. Who's the slave girl? Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael became so excited. I'm so excited. It couldn't wait. It began, the mountains in Israel began to move towards Israel like a shifcha to greet her mistress. V'niskarev l'tzad har shel Moav. And it began moving towards what? The side of Moab. Nichosam ashadayim l'toch osa nikoyim v'harogam. And the terrorists who were hiding out in the caves, they got what? Squished. The mountains smacked together. And the terrorists hiding to ambush us, Sonia, got ground up to hamburger meat. You hear this? Got squashed. The mountain actually uprooted from its place, and it moved towards the side of Moab, Nidbakbo. And the Jews were passing by below, in the valley below, and they didn't know the great miracles that took place above, that the enemies got crushed. And the Jews were oblivious because they're marching below in the valley. V'lo yodu hanisim. See this? You underline the word. V'lo yodu hanisim. You have the Rashi. V'lo yodu hanisim. They didn't know. Ho'ela el al yedei haber. The well exposed the miracle. How did the well expose the miracle? Look at Pasuk Tez Zayin in the text. Umisham be'era. And from there the well. I'm reading the text in Tez Zayin.
Second line.
Hi haber, this is the well, Asher Omer Hashem LaMoshe, that God said to Moshe, Esof et ha'am, gather the people. Be'etno lahem mayim, I will give them what? Water. Anybody need a sheet? There are plenty of sheets over here. It's interesting to follow inside. Now look at Rashi Tez Zayin, Umisham be'era. See the bottom Rashi, Umisham be'era. Rashi Tez Zayin on the right side, Umisham be'era. Misham bo eshet alaber. Ketzad. See the question mark, Ketzad? Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have it, Chava? Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mi moidia labana enisim alalu. Who will let my children know the great miracles that took place when the mountain smashed into the other and Hamas got crushed? My children are oblivious. They're marching peaceably below in the valley. Hamoshel Omer, Notata Pat Latinok, Hadia Limoy. You give a piece of bread to a child, you have to let the mother know. Why? You do a favor to somebody, you have to let him know, to appreciate it. Because Hakara Tatov is the Ikrav Yahadut. The Jews didn't know to thank God. They were oblivious about this miracle that took place up in the caves above. So God said, who is going to let my children know of the great miracle? To express Hakara Tatov, which is the Ikrav Yahadut. Chozu ahorim komam. So the mountains, after they squashed the terrorists, crushed, they watched Shirley, they went back to their place. Yiddish? The haber yodo tochanachal, and the well, Miriam's well, went into the valley. V'helta misham dam erugim ve'evorim, and washed the body parts of the terrorists in Moli Chosan Saviv Lamachne, and brought them into what? The Jewish camp. The Yisrael Rou, and the Jews what? V'amru Shira. Now we understand, Chava, look at the text, Yud Zayin. Az Yoshi Yisrael. Then Israel sang. When did they sing? When they saw the body parts of Abu Mamzer that the well brought into the Jewish camp. Pasuk Yud Zayin in the text. Az Yoshi Yisrael. Then Israel sang. Et Ashira Hazot, Alu Ber, Enula. Now they sang. Why did they sing now? Look at the bottom Rashi. Bottom Rashi, Yud Zayin on the right column, Yehuda. Alu Ber, Mitoch HaNachal. The well came up into the Jewish valley. V'helim Amash At Malah. Umenayin Shaber Adi Alehem. How do we know that the well let the Jews know of the great miracle? How do we know? So the top Rashi on the left column, See that? Shenemar misham be'era. From there was the well. See top Rashi left column? Shenemar misham be'era. V'chi misham haita. V'halo mitchilat haboim shana haita. When the well accompanied them 40 years ago. Why are you singing now? This isn't the 40th year. They had the magic well, surely, of Miriam for 40 years. So why did you wake up to sing now? See the top Rashi? V'loi mitchilat haboim shana. On the left column, hoito imahim. They're singing now because now the well publicized the miracle. The miracle that these terrorists were crushed and the Jews had no idea. The Jews are marching below and the miracle took place in the caves above when the mountains slammed into each other and the Jews were oblivious. So the well washed the body parts of Abu Mamzer into the Jewish camp. Uz, what does Uz mean? Then they sang. Back in Rashi now. Then they sang. Isn't that incredible? Because the miracle is exposed now. And Rashi says this miracle is on the same level of what? Of splitting of the Red Sea. Just as great.
But it was delayed.
What delayed? What?
The knowledge of the miracle was delayed.
By late, I don't know, by a day or so. But the question is, why is there no Yontif to celebrate? Rashi claims that this is a miracle, and you have Oz Yoshe Yisrael. Just like Oz Yoshe Moshe 40 years ago, when the Jews sang for the miracle of the Red Sea. 40 years later, now the Jews sang for the miracle of the Be'er. So the $64 question is, we have a Yontif to celebrate the splitting of the Red Sea. It's called the 7th day of Pesach.
Right.
So how come there's no Yontif to celebrate this miracle? What am I, chopped liver? Very strange. Why there's no Yontif? It's 40 years later. Exactly. What's the difference? What date it is? There should be a Yontif. Why the cover-up of this great miracle? Look at Pasuk Yud Zayin. In the text, Oz Yoshe Yisrael Tashira Hazot. The same language. So why is there no Yom Tov? Why is there no Yom Tov? Right? So if you look in Rashi, look at Rashi Pasuk Kaf. Umibomot Hagai. You see Rashi? Yellow. Umibomot Hagai on the left column. Asher B'sdei Moav. From the Bomot Hagai in the fields of Moab. Kisham met Moshe. There Moshe died. Visham Batla Haber. And there the magic well dried up. The magic well dried up. What does that mean? The magic well dried up? No more water. Because when Miriam, they had the well for 40 years. If you look at the footnote Tet on the bottom, see footnote Tet where it's yellow on the bottom, Sifsa Chachamim. Af shemeshemeta Miriam pasak haber. Even though when the Miriam died, the well what? Stopped. Achazer od b'schut Moshe. But in the schus of Moshe, the well came back. Ukeshemet, and when Moshe died, pasak. The well stopped again. So 40 years the Jews had water in the schus of what? Miriam. When Miriam died, the well dried up. It came back in the schus of Moshe, and when Moshe died, it dried up again. So back in Rashi, I'll read Rashi again. Mibomot Hagai on the left side. I think it's highlighted in the yellow. Mibomot Hagai. See the left side? B'shtei Moav. Kisham met Moshe. There Moshe died. Visham, and there Batla Haber. And there the well what? Ceased. Right? Okay. Now, look at the next Rashi. B'mchokek. Who's B'mchokek? The next Rashi begins B'mchokek al pi Moshe. Moshe is called the Mechokek. Shenikra Mechokek. What does Mechokek mean? Lawgiver. Shenemar kisham chelkas Mechokek. Sofun. Devarim. You see that? V'lama. See in Rashi there's an underline. V'lama. On the left column. You have it, Yehuda? V'lama lo niskar Moshe b'shirazu. There's a black line there. The left column.
In the middle
of the left column. V'lama lo niskar Moshe b'shirazu. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu not mentioned in this song? 40 years ago, it said, Oz Yosher Moshe Uvenei Yisrael, et Ashira Hazot. Here, they're singing again for another great miracle. How come Moshe Rabbeinu's name is what? Not mentioned. And who else is missing? Hashem is missing. 40 years ago, Oz Yosir Moshe sought Ashira Zot Lashem. Here, Moshe's name is missing in Pasuk Yud Zayin, and Hashem's name is missing. V'lama lo'niska Moshe b'shira zu. I'm back in Rashi, in the left column. See, it's underlined there. Lefi shalok al yedei haber. Because Moshe was punished through this well. When he struck the well, he couldn't come to Pisgat Zev. Right? So therefore, he struck out, and therefore his name is not mentioned here. V'kivin shalai niskar shemo shel Moshe. Since Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned, who else is not mentioned? Loi niskar shemo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Therefore, God's name is also not mentioned. Moshe LaMelech. What's the parable? A king shoy mezamdim osa l'suda. I'm reading Rashi. It's underlined there. A king was invited to a party. Omar, he said to the host, Im ahavi sham, if my best friend is invited to the party, ani sham, then I'm there. Vim lav, and if my best friend is not at the party, ein hoylech, ich furnished. How do you say that? I'm not going.
I'm not going.
You hear?
I'm not going.
So who's the king's best friend? Moshe. So since Moshe is not here, God's not here either. So that begs the question, why is Moshe not here? Why is Moshe Rabbeinu not mentioned in this song? And since Moshe is not here, therefore God's not here. Okay? So before we get to the answer, what happened to this magic well? Rabbi Yaakov Goldman, what happened to this Be'er Shel Miriam? Rashi tells us, the next Rashi, when it says V'nishkafa, see V'nishkafa? The next Rashi on the left side, it's highlighted in yellow. You have that? V'nishkafa. Oto ha'pizga. Al pnei ha'mokam sheshmo Yeshimon. Yeshimon means Loshen Midbar. Shehu Shamim. Why is the Midbar called Yeshimon? From the word Shamim. What does Shamim mean? Desolate. So what happened to this magic well? Shenignaza biyamo shel Tiberia. This magic Miriam's well is hidden. Next time you go to Tiberias, you look in the Tiberias, the sea. What is it? The sea or the river? What's it called? The Kinneret. Biyamo shel Tiberia. V'omet alei Shimon mabit v'roa kimin kebara bayam v'aber. So Rashi says when you're looking carefully at the Yam Kinneret, below is what? Miriam's well is hidden underneath there.
That's why there's so much water.
So the question is, why is Moshe Rabbeinu's name not mentioned here? Why is God mentioned here? And more important, what's the message for the year 2015? And why there's no Yom Tiv? This was a miracle, Rashi claims, on the same level, Sonia, of Kriyat Yam Suf. And we have a Yom Tiv to celebrate Kriyat Yam Suf, Shvi Shal Pesach. So why is there no Yom Tiv to commemorate this great miracle? Why is the miracle covered up? Why is Moshe Rabbeinu's name not mentioned? And since Moshe is not mentioned, God's not mentioned. Oz Yoshe Yisrael, like 40 years ago. So Rashi says, because Moshe Rabbeinu was punished through this well. So it wouldn't be fair to have a Yom Tov. Because, why wouldn't it be fair? Because this well publicized the miracle. So every year you're going to have a Yom Tov called...
Moshe was punished.
You're going to have what? A Be'er Day. It's going to be like a shtech to Moshe Rabbeinu. How do you say that in English, a shtech?
Stabbing in the...
It'll cause him mental anguish in Olam Haba. Yiddish or Ona? Not to cause anguish to Moshe Rabbeinu, God says, no Yom Tiv, my name is not here. It's incredible. Judaism is sensitivity to the Zulat. If my Yom Tiv is going to cause anguish to Moshe Rabbeinu, God says, I don't want your Yom Tiv. Imagine, we're going to celebrate every year Be'er Day. But this Be'er that exposed the miracle of the dead terrorist, Chava, also was the cause of Moshe Rabbeinu's downfall. Because he struck this well, he couldn't come to Pisgat Zev. It broke his heart. You're going to have a yontiv every year to celebrate Be'er Day, right? It's going to cause anguish to Moshe Rabbeinu and Olam Haba. So God said, therefore, no Yom Tiv. That's pretty amazing.
Mickey said.
No Yom Tiv, what?
As Mickey said, embarrass Moshe Day.
Embarrass Moshe Day, beautiful. Embarrass Moshe Day. This day, this well that exposed the miracle of the dead terrorist was also the cause of Moshe's downfall. It's a busha for him. You're like pouring salt on his wound. Not only can he come to Pisgat Zev because of this well, you're going to have a well day? Forget about it. Judaism is sensitivity to the Zulat. Zulat means the other. That's Judaism. Sensitivity to what? To the Zulat. This idea goes so far that at the burning bush, God offered Moshe a double job, to be lawgiver and redeemer. And Moshe didn't want the job. Says Rashi, why didn't he want the job? Imagine if God offered me, Sonia, to be his lawgiver and his redeemer. Double, I would jump, right? A double pay. I would wear two hats. And Moshe refused. Says Rashi, why did he refuse? Because he was afraid it would upset his older brother. Aaron was older than him. He was a kid brother of Moses. He was afraid it's going to cause pain and anguish and resentment to his older brother. Therefore, he turned the job down. Only when God said, V'samach belibo. What does that mean, V'samach belibo? He's happy in his heart. He doesn't resent you. He's not upset. He's not resentful. He doesn't feel any anguish. He's happy for you. V'samach belibo. Only when God reassured him, only God can look at the heart. Only then did he say, what, Avram? I'll take the job. But imagine, willing to turn down to be God's lawgiver and redeemer if it's going to cause pain and anguish to my older brother, if he will resent me, I don't want it. Only when God reassured him, V'samach belibo, he's happy for you. He doesn't resent you, even though you're the kid brother. Only then was Moshe Rabbeinu willing to what? Take the double job, double pay. But look what Judaism teaches, that derech eretz kadma laTorah. Sensitivity for another Jew precedes the Torah. So this embarrassed Moshe Day, as Mickey said, and therefore there is no Yom Tiv. The miracle is covered up. Moshe's name is not mentioned, and God's name is not mentioned either. Pretty amazing. Sensitivity to the Zulat. Not to upset another Jew. To be careful how to speak and behave with a fellow human being. V'hafta ro'yacho kamocha. That's the ikar of the Torah. And this Parsha also is very strange. This Parsha, by Midbar 21, the end of the Parsha, when the Jews defeat the Sichon and Og, and then the Torah says, Al ken yomru hamoshlim, bo cheshbon. The Torah describes what the Muslim were saying. Those poets of that day, they were saying, come to Cheshbon. They were singing about the battles between Sichon and what? And Og. Why should I care, Avram? The Torah tells me about these ancient battles. He defeated, one pagan king defeated another one. So he's singing ballads and poets. What's it all about? The Torah is not ancient history. The Torah is God's GPS. Like that? For how to live today. The Torah is for today. It's not ancient history. Why do we care about what some ancient poets are praising? Cheshbon and Sichon and Og. Who could care less? No, the Torah is not strategy. The Torah, it's God's GPS. how to live in the year 2015. So what's it all about? Says the Gemara Bava Basra, page 78. You see, you can't study the Tanakh without the oral Torah. Otherwise, you're all mixed up. It's not a lesson in early nation history. Al ken yomim ha-moslim bo cheshbon. So the Talmud Bava Basra, page 78, says that the word moslim, which could mean poets, actually comes from the word moshel. What does moshel mean? Ruler. Al ken yomu ha-moslim. Those people that want to rule over their Yetzer Hara, and they don't want the Yetzer Hara to rule over them, what's the formula? Bo cheshbon. Macha cheshbon. Come and make a cheshbon. Make an accounting. If you want to be a moshel, you want to rule over the Yetzer Hara and not let the Yetzer Hara rule you, what's the secret, Avram? Bo cheshbon. Come and make an accounting. Cheshbon hanefesh. As the Mishnah says in Masechta Ovot Perik Bet, V'heve machshev hefsid mitzvah keneget schara. Uschar aveira keneget hefseda. Make a cheshbon. What's the strategy to defeat and rule Moshel, the Yetzer Hara? The Mishnah Ovos says in chapter 2, have a machshev. What does machshev mean? Figure, make a machshev.
Make an equation, a figure equation.
Hefsid mitzvah keneget schara. You do a mitzvah, it might cause you some damage. Tefillin are expensive. To buy a Sefer Torah is expensive. But keneget schara, make a cheshbon. You do a mitzvah, it costs. Tefillin costs $1,000. A Sefer Torah can cost $40,000. But keneget schara, Avram, what's the reward? Eternal life and happiness. The other side, uschar aveira keneget hefseda. You want to do an aveira, you get reward. If you cheat, you swindle, you buy non-kosher meat, it's cheaper. So you might get some schar if you cheat. You might get some temporary benefit. But keneget hefseda, oy, 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 the damage that it causes to your neshama and olam haba. So if you make the right cheshbon, you'll be able to be a moshel on the Yetzer Hara and not let the Yetzer Hara be a moshel on you. So it's not talking about some ancient battles. That's what it seems to say. But the oral Torah, Bava Basra 78 and Ovos Perik Bet says, no, it's speaking to us today. You want to be moshel of the Yetzer Hara, make a cheshbon. You do an aveira. You eat a cheeseburger. So it tastes good, right? Shrimp tastes good, they tell me. Cheeseburger tastes good. But how long does the pleasure last? 5 minutes? 7 minutes? But afterwards, the damage that it causes to your neshama, ay, 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 ay. So that's how to defeat the Yetzer Hara. Go for it. Eat the pig. Or what? The ham sandwich. It tastes good, right? But make a cheshbon. It tastes good, but how long will the taste last, Avram? How long? 5 minutes. But nebuch, the damage in olam haba is immeasurable. So if you make the right cheshbon, you'll be able to be moshel on your Yetzer Hara. It's not a study in ancient history. It's the strategy to defeat the Yetzer Hara in the year 2015. Yes?
I seem to recall
Go ahead.
that Cheshbon was the name of a place, a country.
That's superficially, yes.
Yes, and that,
But it's much more than that.
Wait, let me make my point.
Superficially, it's the name of a place. But why do I need to know the name of that place?
I remember something vaguely from my youth studying.
Mm-hmm.
That Sichon captured Cheshbon
Right.
or something. And therefore, because it was already captured, it was easier for B'nai Yisrael.
Not easier. You're right. That's another interpretation. Very good,
Something
Tirza.
is in my
All right.
memory.
1 down, 69 to go.
That it was part of a military strategy.
Right.
We were very lucky. B'nai
We
Yisrael,
took Cheshbon when it belonged to Amori.
Yeah.
Why do we need to know that? Because if it still belonged to Moab, we would not be allowed to conquer it. Because God says you can't touch any land that belongs to Moab. Because Moab belongs to the Bnei Lot. So therefore, Rashi says, what you're saying, Tirza, why do we need to know this for? Because the Torah says, Al Totzar et Moab, don't go to war against Moab. Moab belongs to the Bnei Lot. The Cheshbon, and the city of Cheshbon belonged to what? To Moab. Kosav lanu shesichon lokcha mehem. So the Torah has to say that Sichon, the king of the Amorite, conquered this city from whom? From Moab. Val yodoi tahara liyisrael. And Sichon, when he captured the city, he laundered it. You know, money laundering? He laundered it. Now it's no longer called Moab territory. Now it's called what? Sichon territory. Because we say kibush mochama shmor kibush. If country A conquers land from country B now belongs what? A, halachically. So the Torah is telling me, very good, like Tirtz is saying, another interpretation, that the Torah is telling me these ancient battles, that as long as Cheshbon, this plum capital, belonged to Moab, hands off. But God caused Sichon to conquer it. This way it became laundered, and therefore now the Jewish people are permitted to what? To conquer it, because it no longer belongs to Moab, which was off limits because it belongs to Bnei Lot. Now it belongs to what? Sichon Merel Chamori, and therefore Sichon Tahara. What does Tahara L'Yisrael mean? Avram laundered it, purified it. Now we can capture. What's Rashi telling? It's true. Whatever happens in the world is because of Israel. Sichon went to war against Moab. Why? Because we had to get this territory. And as long as it belonged to Moab, we couldn't capture it. Sichon came and he captured it. So it's not ancient history. The Torah is telling me everything in the world revolves around Israel. Little Israel, smaller than New Jersey. It's always on the front page of the New York Times. Smaller than New Jersey. Right? The whole world revolves around Israel. It's true, therefore they hate us so much. It's all about us. And they know it. That explains the irrational hatred that the UN and the EU have against. They're obsessed with Israel because they know it's all about us. Cheshbon belonged to Moab, and we couldn't take it. Once Sichon took it, he laundered it. Now it's no longer called Moabite land. Now it's called Amori land, and now it's kosher. Now it's kosher. It's incredible. Yes?
That teaches us
That
if we let countries fight each other,
right.
and so we reduce the number, they capture, one captures
The other, right?
We reduce the number of countries that we eventually have to go capture.
To go capture.
It's a strategy.
Nachon?
Good for you. That's what I'm saying. It's a strategy.
Well, they're complaining that they're not going into Syria to support the Druze.
The Jews are the Druze, right?
They-
Have to stay out of it,
Let
right?
them kill each other.
Right.
Less work for us.
Huh? What? Now, the beginning of the Parsha, it speaks about that we read yesterday, speaks about the Pora Duma, not the mad cow, the red cow. How now, red cow? Right? Now, what are we reading about the red cow? The Torah is God's GPS for life. We haven't had a red cow in 2,000 years. We're going to get one. The Mishnah says in Masechta Para that up until now, 9 red cows. Melech HaMashiach is going to what? Number 10. In Lakewood, New Jersey, there was a red cow born.
Yes.
The lefties are excited. You know, the lefties. The lefties in Israel. Because they want to fly the red cow here to Israel.
The guy won't sell it.
He won't sell it. What?
He was a guy. He looked so bad.
So the cow's coming on Aliyah?
Cow, the red cow's making aliyah.
But it was a
Right.
Jewish farmer, and you're a seller.
A Jewish farmer in Lakewood, New Jersey, has this red cow. What?
And he believes in the Jews?
It's not a Jewish farmer?
Yes, he's a Jewish farmer. His
I think there's several
We're
stories.
survivors from Auschwitz.
But anyway,
Several stories.
what's the message of the red cow? Why study about the red cow? Let's wait till the Mashiach comes and have one, and then we'll study. Why do we read the Parsha of the red cow, Avram? Very strange. And what's even stranger is that the Shulchan Aruch says that reading Parshas Para, there's a special reading of Parshas Para right before Pesach, is a mitzvah min Torah. We know that Kriyas HaTorah is only the Rabbanon. Reading the Torah every week on Shabbos is a Takanas Chachamim, Moshe, Ezra. But so somehow the Shulchan Aruch says that reading about the red cow, there's a special reading the week before Pesach, a couple of weeks. Parsha, it's a mitzvah min Torah. Why is it a mitzvah min Torah? To answer this question, we pose another one. The Rambam in the Ani Mamins says that the belief in the Tchiyat HaMeitim is a ikar of Yahadut. Ani Mamin Meitim Yechayel Barov Chazdo. Right? To believe in the resurrection of the dead is the ikar of Yahadut. And if you don't believe in that, the Rambam says you're a kofir. So that's the kofir means a heretic. So believing in the resurrection of the dead is a ikar of Yahadut. So shouldn't it be a mitzvah in the Torah? Shouldn't Tchiyat HaMeisim be a mitzvah in the Torah? Last time I checked the Sefer HaMitzvot in the Rambam and the Chinuch, Sharona wasn't there. So the Rambam says that believing in Tchiyat HaMeisim is a ikar of Judaism. One of the 13 principles of Judaism. How come he doesn't codify it as what? As a mitzvah. Shouldn't it be a mitzvah? So the Ramban explains, therefore Parshas Para is a mitzvah min Torah. Somehow when you read Parshas Para and you know what you're reading, somehow you are reaffirming your belief in Tchiyat HaMeisim. Question is why? The reason we continue to read Parah Aduma, even though we don't have one, is Parah Aduma reaffirms my belief in Tchiyat HaMeisim. And I'll show you how in a minute. And therefore the Shulchan Aruch rules that reading Parshas Para, unlike the rest of the Torah, is a mitzvah min Torah. Because Tchiyat HaMeisim is a ikar of Yahadut. So how do you do the mitzvah to believe in Tchiyat HaMeisim? By reading Parshas Para and understanding, somehow you reaffirm your belief in Tchiyat HaMeisim. And I'll show you why. In Parshas Para, the Kohen takes Eitz Erez, the Ezov Ushni Toilat. In the belly of the burning beast, you have to throw a twig, you have to throw grass, and Shni Toilas. A thread dyed with the blood of a caterpillar. Sounds bizarre, doesn't it, Aram? Why use caterpillar blood in the ceremony of the Parah Aduma? Talat means a caterpillar.
Or a worm.
Talat means a caterpillar. A caterpillar is a worm. Beautiful. Says the Ramban, Api Kabbalah, the secret of Tchiyat HaMeisim is contained in the toilet. The caterpillar crawls into a cocoon. A cocoon is actually a grave. What does the caterpillar do in the cocoon? It decomposes. And out comes a butterfly. So the Ramban teaches that that's why you use a toilet in the Parah Aduma. Sounds bizarre. You take a caterpillar and you put it in the belly of the burning beast. Because the caterpillar, Avram, reinforces my belief in the resurrection of the dead. The caterpillar crawls into a cocoon, which is actually a tomb. And it does decompose. You take Science 101, and when the time comes, what comes out? So the Ramban teaches a person when he dies is put into a cocoon, the grave, and the body decomposes. But when the time comes, the body will rise out of the grave like the butterfly out of the cocoon. That's right. That's Kabbalah teaches. Just like you can't recognize the butterfly to the caterpillar, which is more beautiful? Which is more beautiful? So the Kabbalah teaches at the resurrection of the dead, the body will be like a butterfly compared to a caterpillar. If God does it for a caterpillar and a butterfly, He won't do it for Am Yisrael? Isn't that incredible? The secret of Tchias HaMesim is the toilat and the cocoon, which is a grave, and decomposes in the grave like the body. But when the time comes, the butterfly will rise from the cocoon. That's the secret of Tchias HaMesim. And more than that, what do you do with the paraduma? You turn it into ashes. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Ashes reminds you of death. What do you do with the ashes? V'natan olav mayim chayim. You mix the ashes with mayim chayim. What does mayim chayim mean? I never met dead water, did you? Chava, did you ever meet dead water? It says you shall take the ashes and mix it with mayim chayim. I never met dead water. Mayim chayim, says the Ramban, this is the secret of ashes. The paraduma is turned into ashes. That represents what? Death. But it's not final, because you take the ashes and you mix it with mayim chayim. That those dead ashes will once again what? Live. It's incredible, Avram. The paraduma ceremony is not hocus pocus. It reinforces my belief in what? In Tchias HaMesim, which is Ikra Yahadut. That's why it's a Torah mitzvah to read this Parsha, unlike the rest of the Torah, which is only the Rabbanan to read. Except Parsha Zohar, Amalek, there's exception. But this is one of the exceptions where it's not a Rabbanan. It's a mitzvah in a Torah because it reinforces my belief in Tchias HaMesim. Afar, ashes is dust to dust, that's death. But you mix those ashes with mayim chayim. There's no dead water, but those ashes are going to come alive again. Therefore, the Torah calls mayim chayim. Death is not the end. It's like the butterfly. It's like the caterpillar in the cocoon. There'll come a time when those dead ashes will rise like mayim chayim, el keli. It's just incredible how this paraduma is what? Semel Tchias HaMesim. It's a symbol for Tchias HaMesim. And what else do you use? You use azov. You use azov. Azov is a type of grass, not the type you smoke. Not the type you smoke. There's a pasuk in Tehillim 72. When Mashiach comes, the dead will rise ke'esef ha'aretz. They will rise like the grass from the field. So you use the grass, again, it's a symbol of what? Tchias HaMesim. It's not voodoo. It's not hocus pocus. Human beings need tangible symbols to focus. Tchias HaMesim, it's so far removed from us. Reading the paraduma helps me focus. Helps me concentrate that death is not the end. Ani mamin be'emunah shalema b'tchias HaMesim. But it's so far removed from me. By reading paraduma, it reinforces my belief in Tchias HaMesim, which is an ikar of Judaism. Therefore, we're still reading it 2,000 years after we have a paraduma. Isn't that incredible?
So maybe it helps us understand.
It helps us focus and reaffirm our belief in Tchias HaMetim, which is an ikar of Judaism. So therefore, we're still reading it. And by reading it, we're mekayim the mitzvah of what? Ani mamin be'emunah shalema b'tchias HaMetim. And this reinforces our belief. It helps us focus when you have the tangible symbols. Or you read about it, it helps you concentrate. Now, how does the Torah call a dead body? Halal. In this week's Parsha, we read yesterday, the Torah calls a dead body halal. The English word hollow comes from the Hebrew halal. A dead body in Hebrew is called a halal because he's hollow. There was a godly soul, and now the godly soul is what? So what's left? A hollow shell. Don't confuse me with my shell. Therefore, on a grave you put a rock. I am a rock. Why do you put a rock on a grave? Why do you put a monument on a grave and then when you leave you put a rock? Why? Tzur Tamim Pa'alo. God in Deuteronomy 32 calls himself the rock. God calls himself the rock in Deuteronomy 32. And Yeshayahu picks up on that. God calls himself the rock. Solid as a rock, dependable, the symbol of permanence. You know why you put a rock on a grave? That's a great nechama. My relative is not 6 feet under. He's with the rock. His bodysuit is 6 feet under, but he's with the rock. So I put a rock on the grave. It reinforces my belief that my beloved is with the rock. What's 6 feet under? His spacesuit. But not him. What's left behind is the halal. It's a hollow suit. He, the godly soul, is with the rock. Hatzur Tamim Pa'aloi. Devarim 32, God calls himself the rock, the symbol of dependability, the symbol of what? Permanence. Lean on me. Right? You can lean on a rock. God says you can lean on me. Pretty interesting. Now, the Paradum, a very strange service. Strange. The very ashes that are purifying the person is being Betama the Kohen. Isn't that weird, Abraham? The ashes are purifying me, and the Kohen becomes Tameh. What's the message? Says Rav Soloveitchik. How far do you have to go to love another Jew? Even if I have to become Tameh, if that's what it takes to purify another Jew, I have to do that. The Kohen, he's the leader of the Jewish people, the Kohanim. They have to be willing to become Tameh if that's what it takes to purify another Yid. Rav Soloveitchik said it so beautifully. He said, we speak about Mesirat Nefesh. We don't say Mesirat Guf. What does Mesirat Nefesh mean? You have to give your soul for another Jew. Mesirat Guf, do you have to give your Guf for another Jew? No. Two people are in the desert. I have the canteen. My water, I'm supposed to drink it. My life becomes what? First. That's halacha. So we don't say Mesirat Guf, because my physical life comes first. But Mesirat Nefesh, says the Rav. Reb Aaron, Mesirat Nefesh. I have to be willing to give up part of my spirituality for another Yid. I don't have to give up my physical body for another Yid, no. My life comes first. But we don't say Mesirat Guf, because my life comes first. But we say Mesirat Nefesh. I have to be giving up part of my soul, if that's what it takes to purify another Yid. How do I give up my soul? The Kohen is willing to become Tameh. That's not giving up his body. That he doesn't have to do. But to give up his nefesh, to defile himself, that's spiritual concept. He has to be willing to do that. Ad kedei kach, if that's what it takes to what? To purify another Yid. That's how much you're supposed to love another Yid. You hear this?
Some of the rabbis
Gave
up their place in Olam Haba for someone?
Beautiful. That's the same idea. That's Mesirat Nefesh. Right? Mesirat Nefesh. It's just amazing. Avraham, Mesirat Nefesh. Famous story. Levi Yitzchak Barditchev, the famous story that This Yid was dying. He was dying, and he was hysterical. They couldn't calm him down. He was dying, and he was suffering terribly. Anguish, he's afraid he's going to go to Gehenna. So they called Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchev to calm him down. I'm afraid I'm going to go to Gehenna. I did so many Averis. I'm going to go to Gehenna. I can't. He was hysterical. Rabbi Yitzchak came to visit him. And he said, Rebbe, I can't calm down, unless you promise me your portion in Olam Haba.
Who said that?
This dying Yid.
Promise?
Unless you promise me your portion in Olam Haba. And Rabbi Yitzchak said what? Yes. So the Hasidim said, Rebbe, what are you doing? He says, to make another Yid happy, the Yid is suffering anguish right before he dies. To make him happy, to die peacefully, is worth giving up my Olam Haba.
Well, wait a minute.
So what happens
Do you think God didn't give it back to him? Come on. You hear, Sharon, what's going on here? That's Mesirat Nefesh. You don't give up your body for another Jew. You're not allowed to give up your life. Your life comes first. But your spirituality, Mesirat Nefesh. Yes. To become spiritually defiled, Ad Kedei Kach, the Kohen has to be willing to do that if that's what it takes to what? Purify another Yid. That's Soloveitchik's beautiful point on this strange service. The very ashes that are purifying the pilgrim is defiling the Kohen. That's Mesirat Nefesh. To give up part of my spirituality if that's what it takes to benefit another Yid. Right? That's pretty amazing. What?
Maybe that also has to do with the Paraduma ceremony.
Go ahead. That's it, of course. Go ahead.
The Kohen who is administering the Paraduma ashes to
The person that's Tameh, yeah,
is making himself Tameh in order for that Jew to be.
that's the same idea. That's the idea that we're hitting at, right? And the Kohen has to teach that. Because the Kohen, what bracha does he make, Avram? When he blesses the Yidden? Be'ahava. If the Kohen doesn't love every member of the shul, he can't do Birchat Kohanim. If a Kohen has a fight with somebody in the shul, it's a bracha levatala. How far does he have to love another Yid? Even to the point where he has to defile himself. Mesirat Nefesh. We never speak about Mesirat Guf because my life comes first. But as far as spirituality is concerned, that's how much you're supposed to love. You're supposed to love what? Another Yid. After every Birchot Kohanim, you say Shekoach Kohen. Avram, what do you say Shekoach Kohen? It's a mitzvah. You put on tefillin, I say Shekoach. You eat matzah on Pesach, I say Shekoach. The Kohen blesses us. It's a mitzvah. Why do we say Shekoach to him? You put on tefillin this morning. I say Shekoach. It's a mitzvah. Why do you say Shekoach? He did it be'ahava. Because he did it be'ahava. That's why he gets a Shekoach. And if he can't do it be'ahava, it's a bracha levatala. Yes?
I know of a case very well, personally.
Go ahead.
Of a Rav wouldn't let a Kohen duchen because he was about to go up to duchen because the guy wouldn't give his wife a get.
Oh, good.
100%? 100%? 100%?
The good news is it's cheaper than writing a check.
What? What?
He wanted to duchen, he has to give her a get.
Thank you very much.